Hi, I'm David Dodge. Welcome to Green Energy Futures. We moved to our cabin at Seba Beach a few summers ago. It was supposed to be temporary, but we wound up spending the winter there. There are two cabins, my mother's old cabin and ours. We built them in the 1990s when one of my key tools was a $3.99 wooden framing hammer that I bought at Beaver Lumber. Here's the thing. The cabin is heated by wood, and normally we shut down the water systems for the winter. We were very pleasantly surprised by the ability of our airtight stove to heat the 1,000-square-foot barn-shaped cabin. After all, they were only 2x4 walls with R12 insulation. We burned a little over 5 cords of wood throughout the winter. This was very romantic, but come spring, we decided we needed a new plan, and after doing so many stories on heat pumps, we wondered what we could do on a budget to improve things and heat our 2x4 walled cabin with a heat pump. Our cabin crawl space wasn't even closed in, let alone insulated. To be clear, this may be the worst case scenario for a heat pump. To begin our journey, we hired Len Koenig of Pure Energy, a seasoned energy auditor that came highly recommended. The energy audit is the most valuable thing you can do as part of your reno project.
Well, an energy evaluation is basically you go to a home, you collect all the information about insulation values, mechanical, windows, doors, and you just gather all the information. There's anywhere from 80 to 120 photos taken per house. And once you gather all this information up, basically 80% of the energy evaluation, for me anyways, is information gathering. The other 20%, I take the homeowner around the house, show them where all the heat loss, air leakage areas are in a home.
Len did this in our 925 square foot cabin, and then he walked us through the cabin and showed us all the air leaks and what he learned. I was much younger when we built the cabin. My biggest regret is building with 2x4 walls instead of 2x6.
Building envelope of this house is about average from what I see in other houses, and I think the potential for air sealing this house for at least another better than 10-15% better, maybe 20% better, is good. Good potential for sure.
Len found our 2x4 wall cabin was leaking 4.76 air changes per hour. That's a lot of extra air to heat. It might be the most underappreciated thing you can improve.
As far as air leakage areas where they've been living in the house for like 20 years, and they had no idea there's insulation missing in this wall, or they've got a hole the size of a small window that they didn't realize, and they've been losing heat out of this hole for years.
So Len went away and prepared his report. The EnerGuide rating came in at 139 gigajoules. Our biggest use of energy is home heating at 70% of total energy consumption. The report showed our 2x4 walls and double pane windows were responsible for 57% of our heat loss, while the uninsulated crawl space and air sealing were responsible for another 37%.
This place is probably maybe better than what I expected. And I'm going to expect a lot more when I come back for the post-evaluation.
No pressure.
Yeah, there's no pressure, but I want 20% better or more.
So the challenge was issued. Len's report recommended 5 actions. Insulate the foundation. Install an air source heat pump. Insulate the main walls. Upgrade the windows. And perform air sealing. We were on a very tight budget, so as much as we would have loved to double down on our wall insulation and windows, that would have cost $50,000 to $75,000. Our budget plan was to do 3 of the 5 things. With Len's challenge of improving our air sealing by at least 20% fresh in our minds, we got to work over the summer. Using dozens of thermal images as our guide, we insulated the crawl space, and sealed as many of the air leaks as possible with about 10 tubes of caulking, weather stripping, and spray foam insulation. And thanks to his design heat load calculations, we were confident we could add a very energy efficient heat pump for heating and cooling once those things were done. After the work was done over the summer, Len returned to do a post-renovation audit. The post-renovation audit showed we reduced our energy use by 40%. We reduced our air leakage by 1.1 air changes per hour, and our design heat load was low enough to install an energy-efficient TOSO air source heat pump and a 6,000-watt backup electric heater.
Hi, it's Brett Boychuk with Sub-Zero Mechanical. We're a mechanical company out in Parkland County, and today we're working on a lake house or a cabin with only wood fire heat, and giving them a secondary solution for heating in wintertime with a low ambient heat pump. So this is what we call an ultra heat. So this heat pump's rated down to -35 for operation for low ambient heat. Which is hard to believe that you can still pull heat out of the air at -35, but believe it or not, it's doable.
Our auditor confirmed it's enough to meet our design heat load on its own without the wood stove. So, how did the heat pump work for us? Last January 12th to 15th, the temperature plunged to -41 degrees Celsius, the worst cold spell I've recorded in my life. At -40, the heat pump was 5 degrees below its rated temperature of -35, and our backup 6,000-watt electric heater kicked in. This could have got us through the period on its own, but we still had our wood stove, so we fired it up. We used our backup electric heater for about 7 days last winter. It hasn't even come on at all this winter. Our cold climate heat pump works at near peak efficiency, right down to -17 Celsius, which frankly covers most of our winters. Our conclusion: heat pumps work, and the real bonus is when temperatures soared to +35 in a heat wave the following summer, the heat pump effortlessly cooled our cabin at 700% efficiency. So, how popular are heat pumps getting?
They're gaining massive popularity. Lots of times people said, oh, heat pumps don't work in Alberta because of our cold temperatures and our climate. Well, these are rated down to -35, so they absolutely work in our environment now. Heat pumps are going to be the way of the future. There's different applications for them. You don't have to go strictly full heat pumps. There's things called dual fuel, which utilize natural gas and a heat pump as well. So yeah, there's many applications. And then with ductless splits like this style, there's hundreds of different applications we can throw it into. You can get ones with a single head like this. We can get multi-head, so they could do multiple rooms, different levels, lots of different options. The possibilities are endless.
Some experts said, don't do it, but we did. And I feel privileged since, due to my contacts, I was able to get some very good advice that frankly is not readily available to average consumers yet in these early days of the heat pump revolution. There's one big caveat from our experience. Even though we could heat the cabin with just the heat pump, we lit fires in our wood stove on cold winter mornings, and this has probably saved us half the energy that our heat pump would have used for about $400 worth of wood. Remember, we didn't spend $8,000 to install a gas line, and we don't have a gas bill that would cost us about $700 in fixed and admin charges before we bought our first gigajoule. Our total electricity cost for the year was $2,700, which heated our home, powered one electric vehicle, and one plug-in hybrid vehicle. My prediction: heat pumps will own the building space in the not-too-distant future. For all the gory details, check out our blog at GreenEnergyFutures.ca. For Green Energy Futures, I'm David Dodge.